Welcome, OD and human resource professionals. Today we're continuing our discussion on how to have a productive performance conversation. Last week we defined what a performance issue is. This week we talked to you about how you word it correctly. Word the issue wrong, you're on a dead-end road from which there is no return. Word it correctly and you've got the basis for a great performance conversation. Let's get started. So let's talk about how we word the performance issue. If you recall last week's video, we gave a working definition for what a performance issue is. Something that is not happening that should be happening, or something that is happening that shouldn't be happening. Notice that that encompasses both behaviors and results that are problematic. But in both cases, it assumes a clear, known standard or expectation has been violated. That is clear to the performer and clear to the manager who's monitoring this performance. And we provided this to you and asked, do we have a performance issue? And if you recall, the answer is we're not sure because we don't know if a standard has been crossed. This person could be taking a break during break time, taking a nap during break time. However, we showed you this one, and while it might be humorous, we know that in fact we do have a deviation. There should never be stripes on the back of whatever that animal is. So with that, and when we do training, I often ask the group, so guys, how would you word this performance issue? And invariably, almost everybody says, well, the driver was just lazy. Okay, now that's problematic in a couple of ways. That's going to send us down a dead-end road from which there is no return. It's bad word because driver is lazy. First of all, it blames the person. Once you look across the table and you say, hey, you're being lazy, you can guarantee that the answer is going to be, no, I'm not, and it's just going to blow up from there. But even more fundamental, the problem is you are what we term jumping to cause. That is, you're believing, that's not describing the performance issue. You're saying what you believe lies under the issue that you're seeing, and you may be right or you may be wrong. It may not be true, but what it does is it closes down the discussion when we need to open it up and get some real thinking going. If the end goal of our discussion is that the performer owns the issue, then our dialogue must promote thinking, not shut it down, and must promote discussion, not acquiescence and silence. So, with that, let's talk about how you do word it properly. Performance issues should be worded in a sense that is observational, not judgmental, where you're describing the actual issue that you see, the performance that crosses the line, and you're not jumping to presumed cause. The suggested format is you put it literally in the word of the name of the person, whoever the performer is, and then simply follow with the thing that's done or not done that crosses the line. Let's look at a few examples. These are good ones. Colleen not providing info when requested. Joe has a higher scrap rate. Timothy's projects are late. Gina argues about assignments. Now let's look at these briefly together. In other words, when it's properly worded, in fact, we kind of know what the standard is. We'll know it, and the other person will know it, so there won't be any argument about whether we have a performance issue. So if I, as Colleen's leader, ask for information, by definition, unless it was personal, I have a right to that information, and if you don't provide it, we both know that you're being insubordinate. Joe has a higher scrap rate. Well, that presumes that Joe, when compared to other people on the line, let's say he produces good product at a 95% rate, and yet everyone else on the line can produce good product at 98%. Okay, the line, he's not meeting the performance that everyone else can meet. Timothy's projects are late. Timothy promised to have his report in by Wednesday. It gets to Wednesday at 5 o'clock. It's not in. Therefore, it crosses that known and agreed upon standard. Arguing. Well, that seems real ephemeral. Can't we? No, we all know what arguing is, even if there's not a standard. There's a difference between us having a heated debate about the issue and somebody jumping up on the table and yelling. And while we don't have to get real particular about what that line is, we both know a line's been crossed. Now, those are examples of good ones, and notice that there are some examples. You can talk about results that don't meet standard, or you can talk about behaviors that cross the behavioral standard line. Here's some poor ones. Jerry doesn't care. Now, why is that poor? Well, we don't even know what the performance issue is. This is a cause, and yet, how is this showing up? We're assuming cause. We don't even know what the problem is. The last one, Jose rushes through everything. Well, first you could say, well, everything, that's probably doesn't rush through everything. But even deeper than that, think about it. People will say, well, wait a second. From a safety issue, we know we don't want people rushing, so we think this is a good one. That may be the issue, but you're not really upset then. The problem is not that Jose is finishing his work twice as fast as everyone else, which is what your statement implies. The problem is Jose's accuracy or Jose's safety. He's cutting corners. Those should be the basis for the performance issue statement. So with those examples, here's what I want you to do. I want you to reword the performance issue you're thinking of. If you're watching this video, there's somebody in your work environment that's not getting you what you need, that's not working with your other team members the way he or she is supposed to. So describe it in observational terms. Make sure we just simply talk about the action or the result that doesn't meet standard. And when we come back next week, we'll talk about how you begin to address it once it's properly worded. And thanks for tuning in to today's video. I hope you got a lot out of it. Next week, we're going to jump right into the script, if you will. That is, there's a format that if you'll follow it and kind of put the details of your particular issue in, you'll be able to have a really productive performance conversation with the performer so that they assume the accountability that's needed. Thanks again. If you like it, please share this with your friends. Please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Until next time, be well.